Oh man, what are you sipping on there?
You see Blue Menu.
Club soda?
Mm-hmm.
Like cracking a beer.
Nice.
Going for it.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Same, man. Happy Thanksgiving to you. Welcome to the show, filmmaker Clayton Drake. While you were getting your sound set up there, man, I noticed, is that Brain from the Ninja Turtles behind you?
I don't know what that is, but I think you're thinking of Krang, actually.
Krang. That's what I'm thinking of. Krang, yeah.
I never noticed the resemblance, but that's by an artist here in Sudbury. He goes by Oozerton. He just does like really grotesque like portraits of monsters.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
And Zorch is by him as well, or no?
Yeah, so this is a band from Texas, Austin, Texas. They were like a two-piece, like a really crazy two-piece. One guy would play keyboards and sing and do a little bit of percussion and stuff with his feet, and the other guy would play drums and trigger samples and also play keyboards at the same time. And it was a super wild thing. Very impressive, like live performance. Very joyful music, but I don't know if they're a band anymore, but I just like this poster, I guess.
Zorch.
Yeah, you guys have also a lot more options in Toronto, so you can get like an amazing, meal of from any kind of ethnic cooking and any night of the week, right? We don't really have that here. We're up in Sudbury.
Yeah, and do you guys even have Uber Eats?
No, we have skip the dishes. We had Uber Eats for a bit, and then I don't know, went away. Now we don't have it anymore. I think we have DoorDash too, but I don't know. Looking at skip the dishes, like you realize like how few restaurants there actually are in the city. Yeah, pretty much. I think Tommy Knocker's the only one I haven't eaten at.
Who now? Tommy
Knockers. Tommy
Knockers.
Knockers. Sorry, Tommy's not here. I'm thinking of it. Tommy Knockers. Tommy Knockers was a bar that closed like 15 years ago in Sudbury. The building is torn down. Tommy's not here.
Tommy's not here. That's kind of what I thought you meant. Tommy Knocker sounds like a Fuddruckers knockoff or something like that.
Oh man.
I think to start off, we met on the Cold. Let's talk about how we met. So we met on the Cold web series, right? So you were a reference to me because I was up in Sudbury and I don't think there was anyone around to hire, whether people were busy or they just didn't have like the infrastructure and like the crew and stuff in place of people to, I didn't really know any ALMs to tell you the truth up there. So, cause it'd always been me kind of thing. So once I was the LM, I was like, I got to find another me. So Heather pointed me in your direction, and I think we met at a coffee shop. And I knew going into it, I'm like, as long as this guy isn't a total basket case, he's pretty much got the job just because I need somebody. So, but we went in and sat down, and you kind of explained to me about some of your booking background, which maybe you can explain what you were doing at the time.
So yeah, I think at that time I was like I had no job at that time. And I had been booking in the townhouse for a few years, assisting Paul. There was a bar open.
So explain to people what you were booking.
So the townhouse does live music 7 nights a week. And it's pretty onerous, and it's difficult up here to do live music 7 nights a week, especially good live music 7 nights a week. And so I was assisting Paul, who was the head booker there, and he's been doing it for like, I don't know, like 25, 30 years now or something like that.
Is he still doing it?
Yeah. Although he's got a fellow named Sean Cosmo assisting him now, I believe. Although there's no live music happening there right now, so I don't know when it will come back, but probably be a while, I imagine. And I was also booking a place called the Speakeasy when it was open in Sudbury. And yeah, so I had stopped doing that. I was driving a taxi, just trying to make ends meet however I could, because my whole focus in life was playing in rock bands at the time.
You also could have been hired as a driver, technically, too. That would have been a sweet gig for you just to break into the biz. You probably would have stumbled upon that, actually, if we didn't stumble upon each other first.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
So I think what happened was we were doing a video shoot for the band, and Heather was helping out in some capacity. And I guess she thought that I was pretty good at organizing the shoot, and she put me in touch with you. And I was like, I had no job, and I was like living at my girlfriend's place at the time, and I was broke yet again. And it came at the perfect time for me.
It was sweet. You came on, you helped me out. And as hard as that show was, I think with each other, we kind of made it work and made it fun and tried to have fun where we could. Because it was hard. It was a tier F, no money winter show. Very ambitious for how much money, lack of money they had and everything. They really wanted the world. And we kind of provided that to them. But I know there were some hilarious times where me and you were out there and I was like, okay, first, you're going to come with me for like a first couple days or week, and I'll kind of show you the ropes and show you what this film world is like, because you came from a different world. And I think I remember you saying that it was kind of eye-opening for yourself, just kind of seeing everything that locations people had to do and figure out and how to build this movie.
Yeah, I think most people that have never worked in the film industry or have seen how these things are made, like, don't realize all of the scale of even a low budget production. And I think I had some idea of it because I was I'm living in Sudbury and I'd seen kind of stuff that was happening around town up until then, but I had never really considered that the amount of preparation that goes into just the locations aspect of it. And that was for sure eye-opening, and that was such a hardcore show because it was in the wintertime, and I don't think people realize what that means, like shooting in the minus 30, minus 40 with the wind chill weather when the wind's howling, and people need to be warm and dry, and yeah, it was pretty hardcore, I think. A good first experience. And then it seems like I'm a go-to guy for all those other really difficult hardcore shows with no money that I want to shoot up here now.
Yeah, and it was me for a while too. And it's, as hard as those can be and as annoying as those can be, they really teach you a lot, because you have to go through so much more and figure out so much more. So it makes you a lot better than people who just have all the money in the world available to them and all, whatever. Yeah. A lot of people don't realize it's like, 25 days shoot, 14 hours a day, sometimes out in the freezing cold. And it's not just that, it's then you got to take care of all these people, because it can't be that bad. The conditions have to be comfortable, We worked with OJ. So I actually want to get OJ, first of all, hilarious for anyone who we know someone named OJ. And working with OJ on the first time, and I'd like to get OJ as a guest on this because he's actually got his own radio show that he's been doing in Sudbury for years. Yeah. I wanted to get on it at one point after Indigos. Just didn't get the chance to, but I'd like to hopefully get him on here. It
was interesting working with OJ and getting to meet him, because I'd known OJ for because when I was in high school, I worked in Silver City, and I knew OJ from then, and he was probably about, I don't know, he would have been like 20, 25 at that time maybe, and I was like probably 17. So, and then it was kind of interesting getting to work with him in still like a movie related capacity. And he hustled, man. Like, he was out there in the freezing cold all day. And then we had a bunch of other guys come out and help. That Andrew Tierney guy came, and that was kind of the like just always trying to find like whoever was like available to work, because there wasn't like guys up here to work in locations. Like, there was just not even an LPA, like a go-to LPA at that time.
You could hardly find anyone. OJ, you and I, we all worked in movie theaters, oddly enough, because I worked in the Galaxy Cinemas in my hometown. So
oh, nice.
That's like a good gateway job. It's a gateway drug, you know, into the film business in a sense. It's for people who love films. That's like they're like, oh, I'm going to go here because it really is a great, it's like Tarantino worked in a video store. It really is a great outlet, or if you love movies and stuff, that's a great place to go.
I watched so many movies working there, man. Like so many movies. When OJ and I were part of the first crew, like that when that movie theater opened in Sudbury of Silver Sling. Maybe I don't know if they opened the Galaxy and the Sioux around the same time, or if that was.
Yeah, they did.
Were you like part of the first crew, or
No. I had a friend who had been working there for a little bit, who brought me on. He had been working there for a couple of years, but I worked there during high school, so it was like 2000, some point between 2000 and 2004. I worked there for a couple of years, but I did see that OJ just got promoted to like a manager at Silver City. He's been there forever too, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Have you been crossing paths with him? Has he still been doing the film thing before all this?
He was on silencing, and I know he's still been kind of like working as an LPA here and there, and I think he's done a location manager gig or an assistant location manager gig.
Right. Nice.
But we kind of, it's remarkable how the industry has expanded up here.
Yeah.
Because there's there's enough work for like I would say maybe at least two crews up here now.
Oh, for sure. We went from having nobody available to now there's probably more so.
Maybe more than
enough.
Like 3 or 4 locations crews up here now.
So let's jump ahead actually to something that you're working on right now, which is Resident Evil for Netflix.
Yeah.
How's that
Resident Evil? Good. It's been I've been on the show for since mid-August, which is I've never had that much prep on a show. Like I've come on shows with 2 weeks prep. You know what I mean?
Yeah, those are brutal.
We start on Wednesday, start filming, so that'll be an interesting thing. Got to do a road closure and lane closure. There's a bunch of road closures. There's stunts. It's gonna be pretty sick. I actually signed a social media thing with it, so I don't know. I guess I can just talk in general terms about my job and how it relates to it. But
yeah, it doesn't sound like you're saying anything.
Yeah.
It's going to give anything away. Oh, there's going to be stunts in the Resident Evil movie? I never would have guessed that.
And CGI and so.
Is there going to be blood?
The type of thing that I've never really, been involved in a movie or a TV show before, like the scale. It's really cool to see and to see it happening in Sudbury.
I did a tier B up there, which is about a similar scale. And it was the same thing, sci-fi action adventure, SUVs exploding into this cliff faces, the side of cliff faces, and exploding, stunts like giant fans blowing wind and snow and all that stuff. A half torn apart airplane, long crazy days. Turned out to be an awful movie.
But
I
paychecks
were good.
Right. For sure, man. That's another great aspect of it. I love action movies, right? I watched a lot of different types of movies over the course of my life, but I'm just a sucker for action movies, and so it's cool to be involved in something that has this much action elements in it. To get to see how it's done.
Don't you find it funny though that you kind of stumbled into film, even though you were growing up and making your own movies? You worked at a theater. You made your own skits and stuff growing up in high school, comedy skits and stuff. So you obviously had a passion for creating. So don't
it's
you
cool
find
that you remember
it funny?
that? It's cool that you remember I said that. But yeah, I was always, it's funny, I think in high school when I was younger, I didn't really have much of an artistic outlet. I didn't have any, as a piano, I had some ability to play piano, but keyboards weren't very cool in 1999.
That's great.
So it never occurred to me to write music or try and do anything with it or whatever. So I was just always doing pranks and stuff like that, because Jackass was super popular around the time, and trying to just make a public display of myself and just doing wacky stunts. And then eventually got elected student council president on a like a joke platform, but that type of thing, right? So it was more like, it wasn't until I would say like my early 20s that I actually found like a creative outlet with music. And I would be like editing them on my VCR and like hooking up the RCA cable from my Sony Discman to the audio input on the VCR to like overdub music into it and stuff like that. And coming out of high school, I applied for a film program at Carleton, and I got in. But I was just didn't really think about the fact that there was a possibility to earn money making movies. Like, it didn't seem like a viable career path. And also, like, I was kind of, I probably shouldn't, like, who cares about a career path anyway? I shouldn't really even been thinking about that at that time, because I just ended up abandoning what I was doing at university anyway. So I don't regret it, but yeah, like it's interesting coming full circle to it and like ending up part of it. And I do get a lot of the same creative fulfillment out of film that I do out of music, which something I realized, like getting back in that, like trying acting out and stuff like that. I found that very creatively fulfilling in the same way as music.
Yeah, and I want to touch base on the music because you're a musician in the band The Almighty Rhombus, and we'll get to that in a second. One thing you just mentioned though was you do a little bit of acting as well. So I want to touch on that. I know it's a smaller portion of stuff that you're into right now, but how many auditions do you think you've gone out for now?
I don't know. Not that many. Like, I think I've done like 15 self-tapes, and then I had like maybe 2 in person. I'm not very good at auditions, and I should be more diligent with like trying to do self-tapes and stuff like that. But I have a better setup now though, so I might do more of it now that I have like a little tripod, and like I got a phone and some lenses for the phone, so I might do more of those. But I've been very fortunate to have done like some stuff like your movie and another movie where people gave me like a lot of creative freedom to like despite my complete inexperience with acting, to kind of do my own thing. And those are a lot of fun, and I'd be down to do more of that. I got to play a corpse in V Wars. I was Fane's victim. I had to have my shirt off, man. I was like laying over a culvert and like on the side of the road, and it was raining.
Yeah, that's tough. That's tough. I mean, I've had to take my shirt off in an audition before, and someone played my back like a piano. And it's for a pizza commercial, and they're like, "Nah," they're like, "Nah, you're no good." I'm like, "Yeah, I don't like." Yeah, well, good luck finding the best guy.
How much do I have to debase myself for you? But yeah, like I don't know, maybe. It's also hard. Like I was getting a lot of, when I was working on Carter, I was getting a lot of calls for self-tapes and stuff like that. And it's just really difficult to make the time for it when you're working also. And, trying to do other creative things. But maybe I'll get a chance to act again. That'd be cool.
It is kind of like a side hobby for you, but you did say that you are comfortable in front of the camera. For one, you're a musician, you got to play in front of people. And 2, you did those skits and stuff like that in high school. And I did the same thing in high school, tried to make everything a video project. I remember one time we got away with it, that something screwed up the night you were talking about your editing and how the RCA cables. So we were editing one night and it wasn't working for us. It wasn't like outputting or whatever. And so the next day when the video was due and it was our turn to show it, we put in a blank tape, just fuzzy, and put on like an acting show of like, we don't know. I don't know what's wrong. It's got to be, there's something wrong with the TV, and like hitting the VCR and the TV. They swapped TVs for us. They actually went as far to swap the TVs, and it still wouldn't work. We were like, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. And we bought an extra day out of it. Yes.
It's a great scam.
You could pull that stuff back in the day because video technology or whatever was just kind of coming about. The teachers were just happy to see our videos because they thought you were doing like magic.
Right. I don't know how many like university presentations and like meetings I've been in where like people just can't get their shit together with the video presentation or the PowerPoint or whatever. People are just mystified. They don't know that they need to show up a half hour early to get their laptop plugged in and the projector set up.
Or they took our angle and they faked it and they bought themselves an extra day. Oh, when you mentioned that you thought film was not a viable option.
Mm.
Now, I'm glad I didn't have that thought. I knew that I didn't know what the hell film was. I just knew I wanted to do it. And I'm lucky that obliviousness, because I did go 2 years of university and partied and essentially quit university just to go to the film school in the same city kind of thing. I just kind of transferred over. And it was a big risk at the time because all my friends were going to be teachers, which was apparently the most secure job in the world at the time. And then a lot of them couldn't get jobs afterwards. And it just seemed like a huge risk when I was going to film school because there was no definite outcome, which is scary. So I'm glad I was so oblivious to kind of just jump into it just because I had a passion or wanted to follow that dream or whatever. So, but it's funny, you ended up right back where you started, but you kind of took a different path because you had the foresight to be like, this, how do you do this job? You know, like, how do you break into this or do this?
I don't know that was foresight. It was more like people, adults telling me like what I should be doing. And I don't know. I should have gone into something creative or like just a general arts degree out of high school, but I never really like thought much about it until it was like already time to go. You know, I don't know. Wasn't really ready for university. I don't think I should have had some time, maybe a year or two.
I did the lab. I went back for a year to high school. I think I did a day and then quit because it was just, I couldn't deal with it. But then I took like a year. I took some film and photography courses and tried to figure things out. And they still didn't go. Then I still went to a place where I wasted 2 years. So things didn't go according to plan still. So
yeah,
it takes a while. It's hard. You're young, like hard. Same thing. I don't think I really knew what I wanted to do at those ages, and definitely didn't take high school seriously enough to like get the marks to like, you know, I applied to Carleton, something as well, Brock, you know, some of these places. So
yeah, I still don't know what I want to do. So it's I just think it's like and that's why I think of myself more, I guess, as an artist. It's just it's like an approach to life, I think, and just always being open to new possibilities and how your life is going to develop.
yeah, so let's talk about the music side, because you mentioned keyboards not being cool in the 90s, but oddly enough, I had a keyboard. I had a keyboard in my house too. So, and I was the coolest kid anyone could know. So, no. But let's talk about the almighty rhombus. So you do keyboards and backup vocals and anything else?
Well, I'm kind of like I think Rhombus is come to an end, but I was the like basically the band leader and also keyboardist, and was involved in like the production of the songs and pretty heavily involved in the arrangement, and was starting to take on more of the songwriting role and basically responsible for all of the business aspect of the band as well. But I think that's we've got like one more single ready to go that we recorded a while back, and then I think we're gonna put it to an end, and I'm probably gonna start doing like a solo thing.
Nice. That'll be
yeah,
cool.
like yeah, I've just been acquiring gear for that. I've got like a really nice microphone and interface and monitors and a good computer, so I'm gonna start making some demos and gonna be like R&B style stuff.
Sweet. Yeah, because you were pretty much the general like promoter. What, would you book all the shows for Rhombus as well? And you said you guys are coming to an end, but I mean, you had a good run. I look back at some of your stuff. You were doing stuff even back in 2013 and maybe even before that. So
yeah. No, I mean, we played a lot of great shows. Like, I'm okay with what we accomplished with the band. I was really excited about the new stuff that we were writing toward the end. But it's okay. Like I'm taking a lot of those elements and like carrying it forward into my own thing. And I don't really, my the way that I look at music has changed over, and what I expect to get out of it has changed over the years. I don't really. There was a time when I was like so desperate to make a living from music and to turn it into a career, because I was just like always thought that your career had to be your life's passion, and they had to be the same thing. And you know, I have this thought a lot that, you know, my grandfathers on both sides of my family didn't have the luxury of deciding whether or not their career could be their passion. Like my grandfather on my mom's side died before I was born from cancer. He worked underground for Inco. My grandfather on my dad's side worked at the mill at Falconbridge for 40 years and then retired. And before that, he was like 16 years old working in a typewriter factory in Montreal. So I think it's kind of, it's nice to make a living from something that is your life's passion, but I think that you need to look at that type of thing as like independent from work and from earning a living. And it's okay to earn a living doing something and to find creative fulfillment elsewhere. So
that you did a little bit of cooking channel on YouTube during the pandemic. Did you keep up with that, or was that just a quick little kind of outlet? You just felt like being creative, and that was a quick outlet to kind of. Yeah, well, I think it was, and it was a good thing. I think so basically what I want to do going forward is be more of a multimedia artist. So I'll have I'll release songs, but I'll also do like videos on YouTube, and maybe I can find like a sketch troupe or something of people that want to do like some comedy skits. I have like a bunch of different ideas for types of videos that I'd like to do on YouTube and like release them at more regular intervals. But right now I just gotta wait till my life calms down a bit again. For sure. Can I read you a comedy skit that I wrote last night?
Yeah, man.
I want to. Well, I want to film it. It's just a tweet right now, but I want to film it, and it's an infomercial. So it goes, Peeping Toms, are you tired of constantly showing up to desired locations and not being able to find any shrubs to hide behind? Not anymore. Introducing the Porta Shrub. Bring it with you wherever you go and get back to incognito creeping in style. The Porta Shrub, available now.
That's good, man.
And you basically, the camera kind of starts like kind of creeping up on a guy who's like peeping in a window. And it's like, are you a peeping Tom? And the guy's like, huh? He's kind of like embarrassed or whatever. Are you tired? Or he couldn't find a shrub, you know? Are you tired? He's like, whoa. So, I was going to do it. I was going to maybe play every part. And then like, you know, even just this little video, it's going to take forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's going to take forever. Like.
Yeah. All you need is a tripod, though. And you got the voice down.
Yeah. Well, I did one of those in college. I can't remember what the product was called, but it was like sticky gloves. And basically it was just that like blue oven mitt that, I don't know, it's like rubber or it wouldn't burn or I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Of glove.
Of glove. And I turned it in. So you wear them to carry out your recycling and your garbage. If you happen to drop them all the time. So the first time I have my buddy carrying out the recycling, the blue box, and he just drops it and he's like, oh, and a big red X on the screen. It's like, are you tired of dropping your recycling? Well, not anymore. Not with the sticky gloves. Whoa, someone throws it to him, he puts them on, and he carries out his recycling all happy with the sticky gloves.
Nice.
Yeah, they hated it.
So that was one of the vids that you did. No way.
One of the vids oh yeah, they hated it. It was supposed to be a commercial. They said make a commercial. And I'm like, okay, well, I want to make an infomercial. This is a creative way of looking at this. And I still made it well and made it like an infomercial would be, just because it's funny. I don't know.
Oh, they wanted to make you to make like a serious one?
Yeah.
Who are they to dictate how you choose to express yourself?
Exactly. They're supposed to be college. They're supposed to be blooming my creativity, not shutting us down. And that's why it's usually a bunch of like not film school rejects, but film industry rejects who are teaching courses. And it'll be me one day. It'll be me
Yeah.
one day. So
Hey, I would
I have
love
no
a
problem
cushy
saying that.
film teaching position.
Yeah, for sure. I hope actually to
Not a
get
bad
wrapped up in
life.
something like that later on.
Teach like 4 courses a year and make like 60 grand.
I've got a friend. I had a friend who did it, and they've got a thing in the Sioux. After I made Indigos, I had someone from Confed. You actually just made a video at Confed. I had someone, or not Confed. Is it Confed? What's the one in North Bay?
Oh, that was at
Candor.
Canador, yeah. Sorry.
Canador?
Yeah.
I had someone reach out after Indigos that was like, "Oh, you should come by and take a look at this." And I was like, "Oh, that's a really nice offer, but I actually don't live in North Bay. I'm still like in Toronto."
Mhm.
But you did something recently, getting back to the Rhombus. You filmed a pretty sweet music video. I watched that music video. It looked great. Really well done. Interesting, like kind of hipstery, you know?
Mhm.
Everyone was kind of dressed a certain way. And it's supposed to be like somewhat flashback or like cheesy, corny. There's like a Napoleon Dynamite or something kind of vibe to it. It was great.
Thanks, man.
So how did that all get hooked up?
Well, let me think here. So Alec, the guy that was the DOP on the video, he was at a Rhombus show that we played at the Asylum. We've only played one show at the Asylum. There's not that many people there. And he said, "Hey, anytime you want to do a video." He was actually in town for Cinefest because I think one of his shorts was in the Best in Shorts competition, like in the student division or whatever. And he sent me some links to his stuff, and it was really, really solid. Like I thought he had a really good eye, and it looked really good. And I've been thinking like, okay, how can we do something with Alec that's like caters to his strengths, and also like kind of shows the people in the band a little more, because basically we had just expanded the lineup to 6-piece, and I was kind of like really trying to show that we're like a group, you know what I mean? And he basically I came up with this concept that the whole video was going to be just based around camera moves and lighting, and just showcasing the different aspects of the song. And I kind of planned out the shots with Alec, and we just had a shot list, and we had 2 cameras going, 2 cameras, an A cam and a B cam, and I kind of like planned out all the coverage, and we shot that thing in like a day, and got like some really great coverage, and got all the shots in the shot list, and it cut together really well. And we recorded the audio live off the floor while we were doing it, and I was really pleased. I produced all the audio, although the guys in the band did all the engineering. So I generally, and then I worked with Alec to finalize the cut, and he did all the color correction. And yeah, the song itself has a bit of a retro vibe to it, a bit of a 70s R&B vibe. And so we were trying to kind of match that with the look of it. And I tried to get him to make it look a little bit soap opera-y and misty in the kind of the way it looked. And I'm really pleased with that video, and it's pretty close to what I had in mind when I initially conceived of it with Alec.
Yeah, I'd say it's definitely an achievement for sure. Definitely seems like you filmed what you set out to film. Like there was no real confusion in the video. I kind of got what it was supposed to be. The song was good. Can't really get much better than that for everything to be kind of cohesive and also aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah, it was basically taking what I've seen on film sets and trying to like figure out how to make it work in a confined space in a studio setting. You know, it was a long fucking day though. We brought out stage risers. We brought all the equipment up there, like all the extra grip equipment we needed. Those guys like had a lighting grid like rigged up in the ceiling, and we had a guy doing all the lighting effects and lighting cues. Yeah, and it was all those grips and electrics kind of, and that kind of also was based on my experience working as a grip and electric, like knowing what was possible to do with that equipment as well, and just kind of watching and like being part of some of like those dolly track, like building dolly tracks and stuff like that, and knowing what you could do with a dolly. And yeah, it was fun to take the stuff that I've seen done on set and like use it to my own ends.
And the video had quite a bit of legs in a sense, didn't it? weren't you did a lot of promoting for it anyways. I don't know if that was you kind of hustling behind the scenes to help get
Oh yeah.
eyes on it and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But
Oh,
you
this is
kind of
definitely me
covered
hustling.
you kind of covered some ground. What did you do to promote that?
We did like an ad campaign on YouTube. I did a local publicity campaign. I tried to do an international publicity campaign. Prior to the release of the video, we did a publicity campaign or a campaign behind the song to like get it playlisted, and it was all DIY, like me and the guys. And basically, the plan was to start like with basically relaunch the single, do a publicity campaign behind that, and try and get it onto as many playlists as possible. And that had some success, and then build on the momentum of that with the release of the live video, and then build on the release of the live video with a single, and then keep following that up with singles, like but I think I think that's part of what made me realize that the band had to kind of come to an end, was that I couldn't get the involvement that I needed from everyone to put in the work on the other aspects that we needed to do to actually get people to listen to the music that we were making.
Yeah.
So, but now I know that I can put in that work on something that I create, and if I'm just going to put in all the work anyway, like, not to say I think there's other reasons the other guys didn't want to be in the band anymore, but I think I'm excited to see what I can do. I'm a little nervous because it's hard not having other people to kind of pressure you into getting the work done, and like asking when's the single coming out and what's going on. I'm a little worried about motivating myself, but I'm excited to be kind of presenting myself as an artist in the future. I feel I'm confident enough now that I can kind of put myself out there in that capacity.
Have you thought of a name yet?
I'm just going to go under my own name.
But speaking of music, when did you start music? You said when you were younger. Did you take classes, or was it all self-taught?
When I was a kid, I took piano lessons. I went to like grade 8 in piano. And then I stopped playing music for like 10 years. And then in like first year university, some buddies of mine, like high school buddies of mine, wanted to like just jam around. So I bought a keyboard off eBay, and it sounded like shit, but like I still use it. And then after a while, I joined my first band. Like, I met a guy at a campfire, and learned a little about how to play in a band, and like where to pick out your moments to play and stuff like that. And then from there, started my own groups, and then pretty much I would say like have been like band leader of my own projects since like I was like 25 or so. I was working at the time I was doing a co-op placement up at Muscle White Mine in the chemical engineering department, because that's what I was studying. And I went to I was spending all my spare time booking tours for my bands in my office. It's this fly in, fly out operation, like 2 weeks in, 2 weeks out. And like there was no sunlight, because we were in the office all day long in the middle of winter. And then you're going home in the dark, going, and you're sleeping at a camp. And then I was like, I don't really want to do this with my life. And so I dropped out of school at that time, and pretty much spent the next, I don't know, 10 years trying to like make a living playing in rock and roll bands, or find a way to make some kind of living out of music.
I had a situation kind of like that before, like the second show I ever worked on. I was an LPA once, and then I got a location manager gig, and I was like selling cars or trying to be a car salesman. I was in like the temporary, I'd only been there like a week and trying it out or whatever. And I got the email to be a location manager. I was like, see ya. Like, this is not for me. See ya.
Yeah.
Getting back to one thing you mentioned earlier, like, isn't it nice? And sometimes you have to come to these decisions, I think, at some point in life, where you have to stop relying on other people to create the content that you want to create.
Yeah, like well, that's one thing about playing in bands that I've learned. Like I really learned how to work with people because none of these people are getting paid. Like I really know how to create, find common ground, and motivate people to work towards creating something great. Um, but it's interesting now that I'm making money. So like I can take that money and then just use that to hire people to do the things that the small parts that they'll be better at than me, like the fine detail work that like I can't, like I don't know how to operate a camera or like, I don't know how the technical aspects that go to that involve like, let's say if it's a film shoot, like getting the shot that I want to create, you know what I mean? I don't know the technical aspects of like capturing audio or like really fine tuning a mix for a song, but there's people that have those skills that you can just hire, you know what I mean?
Well, that's the way it's supposed to be done. We are not used to it being done that way because we come from an independent world where you're just used to mastering and doing everything yourself. But what you're saying is everyone's kind of self fight. And Quentin Tarantino had the same fight. And he said that to someone one time, another director, when he was at Sundance or whatever. And the guy was like, oh, you don't need to worry about any of that. He's like, you just need to be able to delegate what you want. And then the professionals will do it.
Yeah.
You don't need to worry about the camera and the sound and this and that. He's like, oh, I just need to tell them what I want. Oh, I can do that. That's all it is.
I think so. The way that I look at it is there's like a continuum, right? There's like, people are more willing to work for less if they get more creative fulfillment out of something. But like if they're more, like the less creative fulfillment they get, the more they need to be compensated financially. So that's kind of the continuum that I look at when,
it's a good balance
as it comes to like creating art.
I was going to ask you what was the coolest accomplishment that you booked during your booking of bands?
Oh yeah, for sure. So toward the end of my time doing shows, I started like an installation art and concert collective called Party Cannon, and we were also doing like live videos. Same guy that I mentioned earlier that's helping with the townhouse now, Sean Cosmo, was the other person that was a major driver creatively behind that thing. And we did a couple of really cool shows where we did like we would show up and completely transform a venue. So like at the townhouse, we did like a blanket fort in the back pool table area where like with a secondary stage where like acoustic acts would play. And I had projections set up along that rail between the dance floor and the main bar area. And Sean had a bunch of like little installations, like some of his favorite wrestling action figures on one of those like pedestals. And then we had cameras hanging from the ceiling, like disposable cameras, so people could take photos of whatever was going on, and really just like treated all the lights in the place and made sure it was all hazed out and smoked up. Just trying to really set a vibe in the room, you know what I mean? And so that was really cool getting to do that. We also in a church basement did a 360-degree stage for this band Weaves from Toronto. So we had speakers facing in all directions around the stage, and so you could like watch from anywhere around the stage. So that was something that I've always wanted to do, and getting to accomplish that, I was happy to make that like my exit. But I've also done when earlier in the band, like we did a 3-day music festival where it was all ages licensed and called the Big Basement Show, and like had I think 24 bands played, and transformed the stage to look like a basement, like we had all this wood paneling and like a light in the corner and a like a chair. We had arcade games. We had like food. And it was like a spring festival, and that was a really big accomplishment. But yeah, I could go on, but those are some highlights for me.
You mentioned kind of just creating a vibe or whatever. So, I mean, there was one summer where I was just going to concert after concert after concert using this app called Bands in Town that would connect to your iTunes and tell you who you liked and who was around and what venue they're at. So I just went to go see everything. And it turned out the best show I've ever seen in my life was this little indie band from like Oregon, Vampire. It was like a $15 ticket. I was into them, so I was there for a reason. But just the smoke and atmosphere and lights. And I mean, I've seen Cults, I've seen Father John Misty, I've seen the Tragically Hip, I've seen Sam Roberts, and this $15 ticket at Lee's Palace, these guys just put on the best show I think I've ever seen, you know?
That's awesome. Yeah, like that's kind of something that I've like touring the country, like in bands, and like being in a lot of bars and seeing like thousands. I've seen like probably seen over 1,000 bands, like and probably been to over 1,000 shows. You know what I mean? So like you kind of start to see like, okay, what's wrong with, like, why is this not enjoyable? You know what I mean? Like, what's wrong with this room that makes it not a great music venue? Or like what could be supporting this band to kind of like visually make them more appealing? And then, like, you know, being in some of these rooms in my own city and being like, if this was like just a pure concert venue and you're just trying to maximize someone's enjoyment of their experience, like what could you do to this room to like make it more fun, you know? I'm interested in that.
Yeah, it really is an all hands on deck for creative types like ourselves. Like even for my podcast, I'm looking for new ways for promotional or marketing or anything. So we're not just making the music or making the videos or whatever. We're like thinking very business savvy to try and get exposure or do whatever you can, you know, kind of thing. How to make it the best show or how to make it as best as possible for kind of what you have available or what you can do.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems it's probably gonna look pretty good. Seems like you got like a decent mic set up there and a good camera that you're using. So
yeah, but you know, like little things, like I'm getting a little roll-up banner that I think I'm gonna have behind me for little designs and stuff like that. Maybe a flag or something, you know, stuff like that. Just little things, and I'm like, how can I get cross promotions and get promo codes for people and stuff like that? So just working all that stuff out, because the weird thing is that I've come into the podcast game very late, essentially when it's oversaturated and probably you shouldn't be getting into it. There's 31 million YouTube channels, so
31 million,
and I bet a lot of those are people's podcasts and stuff.
Oh, wow.
But the thing is I kind of thought about it, and I was looking for a creative outlet and looking for a solo creative outlet. And I know I'm not going to probably be making too many short films or anything in the next near while until things get figured out. So I was like, this is a good thing. And anything I do, I want it to be professional. I want it to be right. You know, I still haven't gotten there sometimes with some of this stuff. I'm still trying to figure it out, you know, but with every episode and everything, it slowly gets better and better. And I'm kind of in it for the long haul. I at least want to reach 50 episodes. I'm only on, this will be 12 now. So
nice. That's good.
I at least want to reach 50. That's kind of like my goal right now, because I know I'm going to run out of people to start asking by about 25. And that's going to challenge me, you know, to start get out of my comfort zone and start asking more people, get more sports people on, more comedy people on, more film people, spread your wings a bit, blah, blah, blah. You know?
Yeah. I mean, like maybe you could probably get a lot more famous people than Clayton Drake on here.
It's a mix, you know. I plan to, well, you'd be surprised too. Sometimes you reach out to people and you think you're friends or whatever, and they don't, you know, some people, especially during a pandemic when everyone should have the most time on their hands. You still don't hear back from people, or you get the old go through my agent, and then when you go through the agent, you don't hear back.
Fuck agents, man. They're just like, oh man, booking
just
agents.
Tell me no. I'll actually think more of you by telling me no, rather than saying go through my agent and then having the agent say no by just not answering. You know what I mean? Be a man or woman and tell me no.
Yeah, I hear you. Well,
because now I lost total respect for you. Whereas I wouldn't have if you just told me no.
Well, you know what? They'll be fucking begging to get on this show in another year and a half.
Someday. And I've already thought of that. I've already had the pipe dream. I've already had the pipe dream in my head where I'm like, nope, you had your chance. Thank you. Well, man, this was great catching up with you. I'm going to bring things to a close. But just before we go, we have a little something that we do here called The Gauntlet.
Okay.
Clayton, Why is a boxing ring square?
I don't know. Because there's nowhere. It forces people to kind of like come at each other at head-on angles.
What is the purpose of death?
To allow the development of a species to adapt to its environment over time.
Where does the time go?
Time doesn't exist.
What shape is the sky?
It's infinite.
Which apocalyptic dystopia is most possible? We're talking zombies, cannibals, Black Mirror, Hunger Games, Mad Max.
Black Mirror, for sure. Like we already live in that. We already live in a Black Mirror episode, man. We got pandemics upon pandemics on us right now. We got an opioid epidemic, and we got a global pandemic. There's more coming.
Now, which apocalyptic scenario do you think you would thrive in?
I think we're already in the apocalypse, and I am thriving right now. But Mad Max type scenario. I have just like such a good work ethic, and people just people gravitate towards me, so I would have an easy time becoming a leader of a rogue band of outlaws.
That's great. That's great. What about wardrobe?
Wardrobe? Oh, like shoulder pads with spikes sticking out for sure, like Master Blaster. Yeah, goalie helmet. Pretty much just exactly like Master Blaster, complete with a deformed dude sitting on my back.
Like seeped in? Was he like burned into you at some point?
Well,
or is he like removable?
I don't want to be like a freak. Just a guy in a bed.
Even in Mad Max world, you're still self-conscious.
Come on.
You're like, oh, come on.
He's just in a
bed.
bed.
Be a freak.
I'm not like mutated. It's just like I'm.
Yeah, you're the leader. Although, you know, being a mutated leader, maybe that's what scares people. That's what put the fear in them.
It's true.
Why are we here?
I don't think there's any particular reason. I think it's a random occurrence, and seeking inherent meaning from our existence is a waste of time. You have to create your own meaning.
What does the world need most?
Empathy. I think and I hope that the pandemic has made people more empathetic, and I think it generally has, despite the small incidences of very vocal idiots that you'll find in real life and on social media. But I think that we need more empathy, more understanding of each other, more we need to go easier on each other. And I think people are starting to do that more, because the only thing that if you learn one single lesson from this pandemic, it should be how much we all need each other. And that should inherently make you more empathetic.
Favorite snack?
Probably like crackers with melted cheese and like a slice of pickle on it.
Shit, creative. Never heard of that.
I made that up, man. It's called Dill Cheesies.
Dill Cheesies.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great band name too.
The Dill Cheesies.
Or restaurant. What was that restaurant? Fuddruckers restaurant you said?
Oh yeah.
Earlier?
Yeah.
Tommy
Knockers.
Tommy Knockers and Dill Cheesies hate each other. They're rivals.
Dill Cheesies is more of like a wacky kind of East Side Mario's type of place, I think, Dill Cheesies. Or maybe even a little more beyond that, more like Americana type place. Fuddruckers is like Chuck E. Cheese, right? Or Tommy Knockers is more like Chuck E. Cheese. Or Dave and Buster's.
Classic. Well, man, this was great. Thanks for coming on. It was great catching up. And
Yeah, man, for sure. All right, man.
Okay, man. Well, I'll close everything up here. Clayton Drake, creative artist, musician, filmmaker, all around good guy. And thanks for coming on, man. And we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.